Hi, I'm Bryce.
And I'm Jimmy.
We are telecom and creative professionals. We're also fans of podcasting as our respective careers give us an abundance of windshield time.
While there is a podcast for just about any obscure topic you can think of, there was no regular podcast pertaining to Montana politics.
And that is why, with our combined powers, we are Montana Voices Podcast.
We strive to be an independent voice for all issues pertaining to Montanans and Montana politics.
We also strive to be very forthcoming with our personal biases as we attempt to see beyond them.
Montana Voices Podcast does not operate in a vacuum. We need your support, whether that be listening to our cast, providing us feedback, sending us conversation topics, sharing our content, or providing financial support.
We look forward to a long career in podcasting with your added assistance.
Well, welcome to Montana Voices Podcast. We're in Season 2, Episode 3, I think, Bryce?
Oh, I thought it was Episode 1.
Yeah, those other two don't count. The real episodes. Episode something. We're returning to normalcy. We have Bryce back behind the mic. He's no longer in Montana, as we call it.
That's great to be here. Yeah, let's consider any previous episodes just preseason for this current season. These are the ones that matter. This is what's going to get us to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. We introduced a new controversial character who was sure to generate some hate mail. And, there's no such thing as bad news, so no news is bad news, right? Is that how the saying goes, or?
Yeah, please, God, anyone email us. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, somebody who's not marketing to us. Or unless you're a politician, because that is marketing. You're just marketing yourself. I mean, there's no difference between that and trying to sell me a Yeti or something, or whatever the normal
real
stuff
life
is.
People, anything that isn't I'm trying to think of the machine that they use. And
is it Constant Contact?
Email or
well, I believe
Anyways.
It's one of the vendors that do that, but we have an exciting guest coming up in the future as we work it. I mean, we're coming out of the pandemic, so it's sort of been hard to get somebody to sit down with us, and of course we could do a phone interview, but the audio is always terrible, and you can only recover so much for that, and it really takes me out of the experience of listening to a podcast when it's obviously over a phone or even worse, those little droplets that hang out of your ears.
Yeah, it takes me right out of it. Anytime anyone calls in NPR from their cell phone, I know a lot of times it's the only available option because they're in a lot of war-torn areas or whatnot, and it really pulls my attention away from whatever they're talking about.
Yeah, and NPR can't afford to send these people an incredible USB headset. I mean, we need we were elected Republicans, so maybe NPR will be cut. They're coming for Big Bird.
Yeah, no, in fact, I heard today on NPR them disclose that one of their funders is Facebook, so...
Facebook for NPR? Oh, it's...
Yeah, well, they'll take money from whoever. They got to keep the lights on, so...
I thought Bill Gates was one of their large donors as well.
I'm sure Mr. Soros is also paying into that cast as well.
You know who Mr. Soros isn't paying? That's us, apparently. I was promised the checks in the mail. We're doing our part to advance the agenda, but still, no payment.
I have all these Antifa pamphlets. I was going to hand them out, but now I'm thinking maybe not.
Yeah, if we're not going to get paid, my goodness. Apparently he's about as good as Trump is as far as paying invoices.
Going to be a lot less people showing up for this guarded training camp simulation in July, on the 4th of July.
We never checked up on that. I assume it didn't happen, because I thought somebody was just joking. So,
well, I mean, you can't be so sure unless you're there. And I mean, anyone who doesn't want to be found isn't going to be found out in those parts, so.
And wasn't there also another compound near Wolf Creek, I think?
Yeah, I thought that was,
in Great Falls.
I thought those were rainbow people.
Oh, the rainbow people are notoriously difficult to keep track of. You got to know somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah, they're always borrowing somebody else's cell phone, it feels like.
Well, let's do our introduction, I guess. Well, actually, no, we had in the intro. We did that in the intro, right? I can't even remember. I just copied in there.
Well, moving on to business here.
Yeah.
Our website, as always, montanavoicespodcast.com. If you'd like to reach out to us with any questions, comments, concerns, or if you'd like to be on the show, you can hit us up via our email address, montanavoices@gmail.com. Twitter feed is going to be at Montana_voices. Facebook account is at Montana Voices Podcast. You can find every single episode of our streaming on YouTube just by searching for Montana Voices Podcast.
Yep, every single one with the best B-roll that Montana has to offer. And there's no editing, or little editing. It's, I know if me and you start talking about our moms for about 30 minutes, I think that I'll usually cut out. But with rare exceptions, there's no editing. It's as you get it.
Plug straight in.
Absolutely. And we could probably record that, Bryce. I make you read that every single time.
Yeah, well, that adds to the rawness of it.
Yeah, where you don't want too high of a production value, and boy, we don't. So, our old stuff we discussed on previous casts, not to be mentioned. Biggest threat to our freedoms was bikes, and they're coming for them. We're not going to have any sanctuary cities in Montana. Rape is no longer a reason for abortion. Usual suspects, the Jenny Dodd of grifting low-level rags that purport to be journalists. Tribal tax issues. Trans excitement came back again. We talked about Texas for a while and stuff about weed. Weed is back, I think.
What are trans? What's the excitement about?
Oh, well, I'm saying that really cheek and tongue as far as trans excitement. But there was 2 bills that went through, and this isn't on the docket because it was the old news that we're reviewing. But he was trying to push through again. They both failed because they had a lot of public support against them. There was one about not letting trans women play in sports, I think, or trans men, or converting. The language was weird. And then also another one to prevent any gender treatment for gender dysphoria until you're 18. And both of those failed, but then he brought them back because apparently you can do that. So that was the excitement.
Just revive it there,
Yeah, we built our first castle in the swamp, and then it sank, and then...
What are you to do but build another?
Right. Well, that's exactly what they're trying to do, and it's still held up. It likely will not get a floor vote from last I saw.
It's so irritating that any amount of time is being used on sports.
Well, that is the point that I was trying to make. We have a 90-day legislature session, and there are a lot of bills that never make it to a floor vote. I think actually the majority of bills never make it to the floor for an actual vote. They get caught up in committee. They get axed or schwacked one way or another. And there's a number of bills that they simply don't get to after the time is up. And I think they got another 30 days to go, if I think. Yeah, because I started at the end of January. And so, yeah, about another month. They're most of the way through. So at this point, about halfway through is the point that they consider all the bills that are going to get voted on have already been introduced, and they're already through committee. So this will not get heard. So that's no problem at all. But these are the things we're wasting our time on. It's very similar to, this will be released tomorrow, so we can say, stimulus checks, your third ones are coming. And there was a news article today about that really white lady from Georgia, I think. But she apparently
What about her?
Oh, she was calling the House to adjourn. Which normally you would think...
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the crazy white lady?
Yeah, the crazy
Marjorie
white lady,
Taylor Greene?
who's currently not on any committees, as I recall.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned her because I was just reading an article before the cast started up here. Apparently, geez, I'm trying to think of who is the Jerry... Who is the evangelical guy?
Jerry Falwell?
Who was Falwell? Jerry Falwell? He's
Jerry
the one that
Falwell.
was banging?
Jerry Falwell
he was-
Jr., Jerry Falwell Sr., as far as anybody knows, is a fine, outstanding man.
Oh. So
think
we
this
said.
Well,
But, yeah,
no one
anyways,
has come out. I think he
Jerry
invented this.
Jr. fucks.
I am aware.
Jerry Jr. fucks.
Oh, those two. We talked
So-
about this in last season, so we've
did.
covered that.
Indeed. Let's go ahead and add Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene to the list of people who fuck as well. Because she as well fucks. Seems.
Oh well, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
I said that.
Whatever you want. It just seems, well, just real quick, the sort of thing she was trying to pull today was at about 9:30, she took to the House and said, well, I vote to adjourn. We want to close. We're done with work today. It's 9:30. And the point wasn't to actually say they're done with work today. The point was to delay work because when you do that, apparently the entire House of Representatives has to vote yay or nay on the thing you proposed, which was going home. And they voted nay and continued and actually got this bill through. Sort of mixed on it. It's a lot of money and a lot of deficit, but then again, I don't know. The numbers are all made up, and some money comes to me, so I guess that's exactly what they
I
want
just
us to
see
do,
how
Bryce.
much Bitcoin is worth right now, and GameStop stocks out of nowhere. And you know what? I think we got enough money to start chucking out a couple grand at each household. I think we can afford it.
Well, that's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, $1,400
Yeah.
a person for people who make under $7, or I think us is
Yeah.
like 115.
So,
So
we do that for a little bit until that price goes back down on all the on GameStop and Bitcoin, and then we'll figure things out then.
I'm also
These
torn
are
on
problems for future us.
that. I should toss every cent I have into maybe not Bitcoin, but another coin, Dogecoin. This cast could be accepting Dogecoin. It's worth about 50 cents a coin right now.
That's it. I thought it had like a huge surge where it went up like a ton.
It did. Earlier this year, it was worth less than a cent. And now it's, it was 10 cents. Now it's close to 50. Oh, no, that's a different coin I'm thinking of. Sorry. It's worth 5 cents.
What about Ethereum? Where's that at?
Ethereum's all over the place. As a Bitcoin fan who's been following this since, I'd argue day one, but probably about 2011, 2012 for me. Poor decisions were made. I'm not a millionaire right now, but the Ethereum is also a mixed subject. I understand.
Yeah,
Bitcoin is like the Model T. It's, it was the first concept of a car, but it's completely useless on our roads today. And it's a novelty. And so the only thing that keeps it running is the excitement of Bitcoin. There's not really a use for it at this point. It was designed to be a peer-to-peer transaction, but it's too slow at that. And it could take like 5 hours to settle your transaction. So the Bitcoin is slow. Litecoin was a bit faster. Ethereum tries to be faster, and then there's a whole bunch of other coins that try to do the same thing, but much, much faster. As fast as Visa is the goal. And as far as I know, nothing has fully achieved that yet. So maybe we're still on the, ground floor of Bitcoin and crypto. I guess we'll see. But Bitcoin, that could be a whole cast in itself, Bryce.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing an episode on that because I really don't understand this as much. And we do know a couple people within the industry there that are, more savvy on the stuff than ourselves. Would be interested in maybe even just doing one where, I show up to the cast and I have a $50 on me here. And, well, what are we going to do with this $50?
Well, I would argue Dogecoin is the answer because it is the funnest cryptocurrency. There's no limit to how many could ever be made, so it will probably be worth close to 5 cents indefinitely, which is fine. Elon Musk seems to think he's the CEO of it, and they had a NASCAR at one point in time.
How does he think he's the CEO?
The Dogecoin community says he's the CEO.
Oh,
but he has no control over the Dogecoin community because it's a
community.
Blockchain. Yeah, exactly.
That's great. I love that.
But
he's like he's our guy.
Yeah, but they probe Elon a little bit, and then Elon tweets about it. Then the value goes to the moon, as they say, and then profits are made. But I think this cast is confident in accepting Dogecoin as a joke. We could totally have a. You know what? In the description down below, you will find our Dogecoin address where we will accept your Dogecoin.
Support is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, well, it's
and
just
needed.
My Dogecoin wallet, but I'll know where it came from. Actually, I won't, but I'll know it came.
The funds make their way where they need to go.
Right. The packets. All right. Well, let's get into our new business here, I guess. Or anything else on weed?
I was just going to say that the Republicans probably are going to put that transsexual bill, right at the top of the basket, and that weed one right at the bottom of the basket. I have a feeling.
Well, they're doing nothing on weed, despite, and perhaps it's more of a statement of how little control Gianforte has over these Republicans. Usually, that's sort of this typically, if they're in the same party, the Republican speaker
Maybe
for
they
the
caught wind
Republicans.
of the private jet.
Oh, the jet. Is that causing ruffles again?
Man, I don't know. Like, does he have his own hangar at Gallatin International?
Well, as I understand it, we're still, well, planes cost money whether you fly them or not. So we're still paying for a state plane. It's just sitting there. And we're still paying for a state pilot that he doesn't use. I mean, we didn't let Trump do that with his, and he didn't even have he had an old 747, I think it was a 747-200 or something, was outdated compared to the, surprisingly, the Air Force One or whatever they're using for a 747. It was a 747, but not a MAX because it's 30 years old. So,
Or are you talking about his like his Trump plane?
yeah, he made a big ordeal about that, about wanting to fly the Trump plane instead of the president's 747.
Yeah, it looks like it's a 757.
Oh, the Air Force One is a 757, and I say Air Force One, but I
No,
understand
no,
that's
no.
not
His,
the plane; it's him.
Like his one that says Trump on the side of it. Trump Force One calls it.
Oh, does he? Of course.
Yeah, it's a Boeing 757-200. So it looks like it's a twin engine. It's smaller than you'd think a 757 would be bigger, but no, this is smaller than the 747. It's only single deck.
Oh, not a wide body. Jeez. Well, he had to downgrade when he got out of office. Well, he wanted to fly his own plane, but they wouldn't let him.
Yeah, it's not safe at all. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what hardware and software goes into the Air Force One, but something, I suppose. I mean, but I'm surprised they took that from him. I mean, they didn't let Obama have his BlackBerry. That was back when BlackBerries were a thing. But they let Trump tweet all day long.
You know, some battles I think were like they were able to fight, and then others that weren't. Like I'm sure Obama showed up and was like, "Yeah, I'm the president now." Okay, like yeah, here, fine, take it. Whereas I'm sure Trump was like, "You can't silence me," and like just threw a huge fucking fit when they tried to even suggest that he maybe not use his
he's
iPhone anymore. You know,
it's his voice to the people. It really was. I mean, for better or worse. And Biden isn't. Well, I was expecting a change because before Trump, obviously, there was a press conference or actual interviews is the only access you got to the president with Obama and before. And going way back, FDR was the first person with them fireside chats, to address the American public directly on this new, really lowbrow medium called television. And I thought that with Trump's actions, for better or for worse, he was being the voice of the people on this new lowbrow platform that is Twitter. I still think it's a lowbrow platform that no one should really be on. But hey, the cast at Montana_voices, right?
let me back to the document here. Let's
It's,
see. Yep,
it's there.
at Montana_voices. That's right.
Yeah, I've got the app, and it's already figured out what triggers us because it'll send me tweets. It used to send me tweets from Trump all the time. So if you add us there, one or both of us will get a notification, and it'll be nice not to see a Trump tweet at the top.
Well, that was partially our fault because we followed his account.
Well, because we had to.
I
We're in the
followed a lot of
political
far-right
space.
stuff on. Yeah, I wanted to get all sides of the spectrum there, so that's why we get hit with so much.
We followed Bernie, too. We follow AOC. We follow just about everybody we can find on Twitter, or actually everybody we can find on Twitter in the Montana political space. So we've got our ear on the tweets.
We do. So we are absolutely not wasting time like the Republicans are here in our first story.
Well, this one comes from the Montana Free Press, and you hate it when I mention them because they started up a podcast after we did. Seems like just about anybody can get behind a microphone nowadays, but I want to argue we have the best sound quality.
Yeah, I think better listenability.
And much more attractive host, I think, too.
No doubt.
Or I haven't met Eric Dietrich, I think his name is. But, well, the Montana Free Press, which I had told is one of the last free, actual, unbiased news outlets because their reporting has been really spot on. And there's only a handful of reporters there, but they pretty much exclusively report on Montana politics. And when we were looking for an unbiased source or something to get the other side of the story, because even newspapers, they're all over the place. They have a bend, they have an agenda. But now I think being
Their agenda is just to get people to fucking subscribe. That's all they want, is people to buy it.
well, that's not happening for them. Oh, I've read all my 5 free articles this month. I guess I won't go to the Mazillion anymore. Well, geez.
I guess
See you
we're
next
not
month.
going to read this. I guess we're not going to read about this event on Washington Post today. Let's see if the New York Times can tell me about this.
Exactly. Oh, they're all toting each other's and tooting each other's horns. So if you, same thing. Yeah, Washington Post paywalls you. Go to the New York Times. Go to the Hill. There's thousands of them. But they are pointing out sort of the agendas that the Republicans have put forward, like the trans people thing, the LGBTQ thing as well, and also they're looking to revise election law. Lots of these things aren't getting through, like the trans things. The last I checked, the election law thing, they wanted to undo same-day voting here in Montana. They were brought in exemptions for vaccinations and the right to work thing. They spent a lot of time on this, and that, of course, got defeated because we had an overwhelming showing of people who didn't believe in that. So that failed, but they're doing a lot of things that are angering a lot of Montanans, and they have to reverse the course on, such as their right to work legislation.
Oh, it's something you want to mess with, is someone right.
Well, it's quite the opposite. It's basically a union-busting thing. But things they have gotten through, firearms. We've got to arm the children, Bryce.
Yep, guns for every single kid, I believe, is what they're looking for eventually, right?
Yeah, I think so. They haven't gotten to high schools yet, but maybe they should.
Are they going to start with seniors and go down, or are they going to start with kindergartners and work up?
Kindergartners.
Who gets a gun first, the seniors or the kindergartners?
I mean, I think we should leave this choice up to the parents. They're the best to decide if their kid should have a gun at school. That's the individual mandate that we're putting on there.
Yeah, I guess we are trying to get the government out of the schools more so. So, yeah, we should leave that to be a family matter more so.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of, like I mentioned before, a lot of legislation is proposed and debated and had hearings on, but only a fraction of it gets through, and we're past the deadline. So every bill that they could possibly vote on has already been submitted. It's about the halfway point. And it just it seems like they spent a lot of time on specific issues and not on issues that the voters tasked them with, such as the weed regulation, which was needed, which we're apparently not getting, and we're not getting that weed revenue. I mean, things are still possible, I think, but since there's nothing in there to be the catalyst to make the way for retail marijuana, that it's not going to happen this year. So
yeah, they are really bad about doing this. They legalize it, but not in any sort of way that you can
we
legally
legalized it while we voted for Republicans. So they, I guess, seem to have forgotten that the same people that voted them into office also voted for weed overwhelmingly.
I don't know, libertarians or something.
Don't tread on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, libertarians. I've made this argument before. I think Chris was tired of hearing of it in the last episode we had here, but I'm going to continue to buy my weed from the guy behind M&H. It's a Montana staple. I don't care if they renamed it Zip Trip.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is it? Not M&H?
Exactly. There's a real M&H, a branded M&H up in Miles City. Last I knew.
Did he get offended by you calling it M&H?
No, he was just not following my train of thought that Pablo, or whatever his name is, doesn't really matter. Believes in capitalism even when America doesn't, by his free market weed sales. True
yeah, well, I'm
hero,
sure he's paying
guy.
his taxes the same as anyone else.
Theft, you mean?
Yeah, well, we can't call it anything else. It's what it is. It's theft.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pablo's providing a service, and that makes him a staple of the community.
Absolutely, providing a service to the community and paying homage to the gods of free capitalism when we've given up on him. Well, enough on weed and Republicans wasting time. Let's go to Democrats wasting time, or wasting our time, and Tester, only one of 8 senators to vote against.
God damn it, John.
I mean, he's a millionaire. He's worth $3 million. So I mean, he can't possibly understand So yeah, Montana or federally will not have a $15 minimum wage. They've been trying to get this in for some time. I think AOC even came out. We talked about it in the last cast because she apparently, rattles a whole lot of cages. Not ours because she's from New York City, or not New York City, but New York proper. I don't know what city she's from.
I'm pretty sure she's like one of the boroughs there she represents. So like she's pretty legit in that sense of I don't know. I don't see Ted Cruz walking the subway late.
That's a bold. No, Ted Cruz. Do they have subways in Cancun?
No, I don't think they're allowed to build them underneath the at sea level like that.
Yeah, that
Probably
would
flood.
obviously not work.
But
AOC said it would be included in the stimulus bill that just went through the House and is now waiting for Biden's vote. And who knows? By the time you guys hear this cast, you that might be a reality. It should be. All signs point to he will sign it. But
maybe the last cast you hear because we retire after we get this sweet money.
It could be life-changing money. I mean, I don't know. I talked about Bitcoin before. I'll try not to make it about Bitcoin, but I'm feeling an increase in price coming up once everybody gets their stimulus money. A lot of it's going to to that. But I think if I tighten the belt a whole bunch right now on the promise that money is coming, I mean, what do I need a savings for? I mean, I've got money coming in a month or so it'll be fine.
Are you considering like dumping everything you can at the moment into Bitcoin? Is what you're saying?
Or some sort of crypto while the price is low, and then when we have that big bump caused by a lot of people buying it, I expect GameStop to go to the stonks as well. But maybe it's time now. Don't buy GameStop. Somebody's going to be left holding that bag, and I knew
it's possible, but at some point, I mean, you never know. The SEC could just come in and just flat out like, no, we're shutting it down. You can't trade on the apps anymore, and because it seems to be like we've seen they've halted trades just off of volatility on the market.
Well, they do that all the time. I mean, if there's too much action or volatility, the New York Stock Exchange will shut down for 15 minutes. Be like, hey, figure your stuff out, guys, and then come back. Take a breather. So that happens.
Yeah,
that's not. I mean, not a daily occurrence, but it happens a couple times a year, I think.
For sure, but in any casino, though, when you win big, they say, "Congratulations, sir. Please come with us." And they escort you away from that table, and you're not allowed to go back to a table. They give you your money, and they walk you to your car.
Our business is done here. Well, I've never had that joy.
Get the fuck out.
It's not the way that system's supposed to work.
This is basically a casino, so well, it's a matter of time before they walk Robin Hood out to their car.
Well, Robin Hood, yes, but I sent you a link in a video on this, I think yesterday or a couple days ago, that Robin Hood is not the democratized savior of finance that we thought they might be. That we are the products, the investment products, and they're.
You mean to tell me that the app that I was getting invites from just random ass people that I've not talked to for months?
I sent you an invite. It's not been that long. You want another invite? You get 2 free stocks.
Other people that, hey, Bryce, it's time you think about your investment in the future. Look at this. I got an Apple stock. Checking out a whole Apple share, baby. She's all mine. You could have one too. And, that's, of course, everyone's going to sign up for it if they get a stock. But what's the kickback? Yeah, that's not. I don't know. This this could go in with like the royal family almost right now, with everyone being all upset and up in arms over Meghan Markle and the Queen being a racist old hag like she is, and all these people getting upset about it, and none of them would be able to get within a throwing distance of the Queen because we'd all be peasants.
Well,
in this fairy tale,
we are. And the peasants, we've we'll not get into the Queen business. We will offend some people because in America there are big fans of the Queen for some reason.
Don't understand it. Everything I've seen about the British royal monarchy, they seem like a bunch of really evil people, man. That Prince
Don't
Andrew
say it,
one,
Bryce, this is
he's
worse
got
than
an
talking
affinity
about
for the
Hillary. What are you
kids.
doing?
What?
This is worse than talking about Hillary. Their
boy.
reach and power knows no bounds.
Oh man, I've gone now. We've gone into Alex Jones territory here now, haven't we? Oh my.
The frogs there.
Let's dial it back. Anyways, damn it, Tester. Whatever happened to going to Taco John's and not having to pay sales tax with old Steve Bullock?
Oh,
It's like Steve lost, and now you think that paying taxes on our tacos at Taco John's isn't so bad. And let me tell you something. It's still not cool.
no, it's not. And I mean, I think Montana as a whole, given how we voted this last election, would probably as a whole be against. If it was to a popular vote, I would say that Montana would vote against it. What I'm thinking about it. So he was probably voting in line with the voters, but I mean, what is Tester going to do next? He's had his 2 terms in, so for
term limits?
Yeah,
I don't think we have term limits.
Well, for our for our local legislature, yes, we do. But as far as the people we send to the federal legislature,
no, that's the one that they're always harping and griping about, is that there's no term limits for Congress. Remember?
Well, Tester's not going to vote that in now. He's got this good.
Well, of course, nobody does. It's the whole point. It's like everybody gets in, and then nobody wants to vote for term limits, because then that'd be like, yeah, I propose this bill that will fire all of us indefinitely, no matter what. Yeah, no.
Well, there's an
Get this
argument
asshole
against
out.
it as well, and we discussed this on a previous cast. Where, I mean, in the Montana legislature, I think you can go in each house twice, so you can be in the House of Representatives twice and then the Senate twice at the state level. But there are some that argue that by the time you actually figure out how to get things done in politics, that you're termed out and then have to move on to something else. I guess a virgin office for you, either move to the Senate or move upwards to the governor's office, which, not everybody can be governor. So, and
Yeah, so I mean,
we are the
once
citizens
you hit
legislature.
senator level there, I mean, you can go for governor, but that does have term limits. But senator, I'm pretty sure doesn't, because like, how long was Conrad Burns our senator?
For
like
way too long.
Half of Montana's existence, right? Or like some shit. Like, it was insane.
But yeah, maybe that's something we should we should really know more about politics to have a political
Conrad's
podcast.
still alive?
Is Conrad? I think so. I hadn't heard that he died.
Let me look him up here. So they need to bring back the spittoon.
Yes, he had a spittoon on the Senate floor and was at the time the only non-college educated person there.
It looks like he did die in 2016.
What?
But, didn't have a college education, but damn it, he had a cowboy hat.
Well, that hat took him places. He was a senator and then went back to doing, whatever he did before. I don't know. He was doing something.
Hanging out with Jack Abramoff a lot.
Oh, well, who else was doing that as well? Anyway, let's move on. We briefly mentioned AOC, and we discussed her in the very last episode about how she was sort of handpicked via trial. I mean, there was auditions, and it was like a job interview for who wants to run in this office, and she was the most qualified, and obviously then we have AOC, but it feels like there's a less official process in Montana. We're talking about Mr. Antifa, Mr. Braxton Mitchell, who tried to bring some legislation to the legislature regarding labeling Antifa as a terrorist group in Montana, the state that doesn't label terrorist groups because that's a federal.
Where are they?
Near Garnet, right?
Oh yeah,
Wolf
well, I
Creek.
guess Garnet.
Excuse me.
So this would make that. Would this make the ghost town a war zone?
Yeah, I guess it would.
Let's see, I wonder, or maybe it'd be a DMZ like they have in North Korea.
Yeah, that's got to be it. But Mr. Braxton Mitchell, lots of people, we got some feedback on Mr. Braxton, and some people were telling us that he was on that there was a tight connection between him and Rosendale that nobody was seemingly able to figure out. And I researched this a little bit, got some links sent to me, and he apparently is. He changed his name in a couple years ago in 2019, or 2020. So He was Braxton Shewalter before that, and he changed his name for some reason, and those records, short of going to the Kalispell court and getting them, I don't even know if I can, are unavailable, so we can't say why he changed his name or anything like that. But before he was in office, he did the March for Our Guns thing. He was interviewed several times for that. He had a gun sign. Remember that? We're marching for guns.
I think I do, because I was like, well, like, you've got them already. Like, what are you marching for if you've got the guns?
Yeah,
It was something to that tune of, like, you're marching for a goal that you've already completed.
I'm disappointed in the lack of guns at the March for Our Guns rally. There was, everybody should have been armed.
Oh, was that the Great Falls one that they weren't allowed to bring guns to? That was pretty great too.
Oh, what's the point? The abortion people they bring their kids. It's like, this is children. We're talking about children. So why don't you bring your guns to the gun rally?
The anti-abortion people don't bring their kids sometimes, and sometimes they do, just to. Well, I feel like that's almost like a total mind manipulation on the other side there when they show up with their kids.
Look at these sweet innocent children.
Check them out. Yeah. You see, we don't kill all of them.
Anywho, you haven't seen the abortion people for a while. There's a few that hang out by the between a weed dispensary and an oil change place here on. It's close to Russell here in Missoula, but I don't know if they're still marching where you're at, or did COVID undo that?
Now that you mentioned, I haven't seen it. I wonder if COVID finally put the kibosh on it, at least temporarily. This is a gathering of more than 3 people here. We cannot have this super spreader on the sidewalk in front of the Planned Parenthood.
No. Was Planned Parenthood even open, or were they just... I couldn't tell you. So,
I imagine they were in, like, some capacity the same way as, like, the clinic was. Or, like, we probably needed a mask and all that.
So, Mr. Anti-Antifa, he changed his name. We're not sure why, other than if you look up Shewalters in Flathead County, because that's the court. His district is North Columbia Falls up to Canada, and I'm not sure if they have a local court there, if they have to go down to Kalispell for that. But there's quite a few Shewalters with a rap sheet, so I'm not sure if he just came from a bad family or if he's just there's something else going on. That I couldn't tell you. More on that to follow, and if you guys have links or any more info on on the guy who is on 3 different committees: Fish, Wildlife, and Park, Tax, and Education. So, yeah, we even put people on committees. We did advocate for lifelong, hunting licenses, which I suppose is good. We're bringing back the Montana Cowgirl as well. He, I say he, I think it's a group of people, and they did work for Schweitzer. Allegedly. I don't have proof of that. They've been as good as we are as withholding their identity. They had some tweets from the guy where he said some not great things and was using homosexual words as we can't say. We won't even use your imagination on that one, I guess. But maybe I sort of took it with a grain of salt because, bad tweets can be. Anyway, weed appears to be on our docket again.
Branding.
Yeah, almost like it's a issue that was high in our minds this last election. So,
oh man, yeah, I like your first note here that, like, literally now that Greg's the governor, any mention of him is Greg Gianforte of Montana, governor. The one who assaulted the reporter.
Every single one. So this one I picked up from Cali Hydro. And ironically, Gianforte is sort of, as I mentioned before, it's sort of lost control of the legislature. They're doing their own thing. And he even included weed in the budget, or weed taxes in the budget. And he's probably not going to get it. So I think our budget's in for some trouble next year, unrelated to this. So this is just from a marijuana advocacy. I think they sell stuff too, but they, Montana rejects funding for voter-approved marijuana program, which is, we didn't really reject it, or they essentially did by not doing anything on it, which they were supposed to do and they were directed by the governor to do. So they have failed us once again. But even though I think, well, they're a business that also sells weed supplies. So, but I think they're echoing what we're seeing in a lot of other different news outlets, where anything that brings up Greg, I mean, this had nothing to do with body, Greg the Body, as you call him, had nothing to do with that, and also he was in support of it, or maybe he didn't personally like weed. I think that would be the case. It's not his thing, but he acknowledges that it's what the people voted on, and he was going forward with it. But it's saying that him and his cronies are, undoing our votes, basically, which is not that I think Greg might be innocent in all this, but the article, before you can even read the article, there's a audio clip. Listen to Greg body slam a reporter.
With Greg, I have a feeling that a lot of people probably will go to these articles when it does mention his, altercation there. Think how many people probably just don't even read the article and just go off and look him up on Wikipedia, and then, just completely forget what they were looking at before.
Well, especially when it's a weed article, so I imagine they're all over the place.
Uh-huh.
That was a weed joke.
those stoners.
So, yeah, that's a good point, and you can never shake that. It is fun that in fact, we do it every time we mention it. We call him Greg the Body, because, that's how we roll here in Montana, I guess. Screw around and find out.
Exactly, and it's just so, I'll never forget, because I remember when it happened to see the article come through on like KRTV, and then the next morning it was on like Fox News and CNN front page ahead of everything else that he'd done that. And like that, it's Montana's always on the front page for something like just ridiculously embarrassing.
Every time. It's the Freeman, it's Clive and Bundy taking over a small portion of the state. It's more on or is Clive and the dad or the son? Or there's Clive and Eamon, and then
I'm not sure which one's which, but yeah, I know the guys you're talking about. But yeah, them. You had Mr. Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, not to be outdone, Waco outdid us, I think. So, in Texas.
Yeah, and I suppose Ruby Ridge didn't happen here either, which right next door, but could have been a few miles over.
It could have been. Well, a lot of it isn't getting coverage. I mean, or at least not federal coverage. When sort of anti-government
like to cover their mistakes
ramped up, I mean, there was a guarded compound outside of Lincoln. It was on the Great Falls side of Lincoln before you get over the pass. But it was, just like I think the Freemen were. I don't know if you've seen documentaries. It's just a weird concept to see video clips where somebody's going to visit the Freemen and the FBI stops them. Well, you can't take your guns. And they're like, well, you hold my guns? He's like, oh, no, just toss them in the bushes. And the guy did exactly that and then drove his truck in to see his friends, I guess. But it was sort of the same thing. It was barricaded. It was locked up. I drove by it several times. And Is
this on the main road?
Yeah, right on the main road. And there were still people going and leaving. It was like a standoff, but people would leave. It was like, gotta go get some TV. Or go and drink at the bar. And there was other people coming in. And so, sort of the same thing as the Freemen, I think. That ended better than Waco, luckily. We didn't do it the Texas way.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I had no idea that we had a compound out in Lincoln.
Well, yeah, this was towards the end of the Obama administration where I think Obama brought out a lot of anti-government folks who likely were anti-government to begin with, but having a guy they saw as an authoritarian in the office. Oh, I mean, how ironic. They thought it was an authoritarian because he couldn't get anything done through Congress, and then he started signing executive orders. But how ironic was that now? And then we got that other guy.
Yeah, and, that just really kicked it up even more there, it seemed.
Well, things are changing, and maybe not always, or maybe for the best. We talked about newspapers a bit ago. This will be our last piece here. Missoulian, which I thought was the biggest operation paper in Montana, is shutting down the presses. That you can still get them, but that is moving to Helena, to a large press over there, which also prints a number of things. I don't think the Great Falls Tribune is still publishing themselves, are they? Or are they outsourcing that?
No, they got bought out, I think, by like USA Today or something. And 'cause, that's just how it is with local papers. It's funny too how these people are all pushing for support local business and stuff. But the second they got to pay for the local paper, it's like, oh no, absolutely not.
Well, the Tribune is like $3 for Sunday. $3.
I don't know. I never paid for the paper either, but
Who pays
I
for the
mean,
paper? In all my adult life, I thought it was. I mean, even in the early 2000s, I thought this was.
I thought it was a
outdated.
taxed item. Like I literally thought it was just like a tax that they just used to like print out the paper when I was a kid.
Bryce, that's theft.
In one aspect, but when you start taxing everything and then you just don't get a paycheck, you just get services? Why? Well, then that's socialism.
Well, that's
So I'm
exactly what
told.
that is. Well, maybe this is a good segue into job futures. And this is sort of this thing that people have been saying for generations, that technology is going to undo all the jobs. I mean, we no longer have elevator operators. We no longer have telephone operators. Horse buggy. The horse buggy coalition has gone down finally. But those jobs are gone, but yet there's not the mass unemployment that we thought there would be. And there are some like Elon Musk, we mentioned him earlier, that believe that eventually computers and robots will replace us all, even in thinking jobs. I mean, certainly service jobs can all go to that, and stocking, other jobs like that will go away. But jobs like what me and you have to do, where there's supposedly some thought going into it. I don't know how much I put into it, but supposedly intelligence, a computer will be able to figure that out and do it for us. And then what are we to do?
It's a good question, but have you seen that movie Wall-E?
Yeah, or no, I've heard of it. I've not seen it, but
Pretty
I get the
accurate, bro.
concept. Well,
Because
maybe.
you say that like the horse and buggy coalition's no longer here, but we still have jobs. But thing is, we keep shaving down on what we're doing, and we keep handing more and more of it over to the computer.
Well, not
And
only
so,
that, but
like,
America does sort of the same thing. We treat China as our computer, basically. So manufacturing jobs, those were arguably low skill, and all those jobs went away, or 90% of them, I would say. Yet 90% of those people aren't still unemployed. It freed us up to do other things, to smarter work, and certainly there's pain associated with that. If all you know how to do is coal mine, and suddenly a robot dredge can do it, what are you to do? But, immediate pain, and eventually it corrects. I just don't know how far it goes once you get, AI that can actually think and do things. Maybe that changes. Maybe that algorithm finally changes it. There's nothing else more productive for us to do. And Elon suggests UBI. We'll all get paid for stuff and then do other stuff. Who knows?
well, he's not going to care because he's going to be on Mars. So
Oh, yeah, we're done with this place. But the
that's what I
Missoulian,
think
we
will
should...
happen. He's going to probably find a decent group of people who he's going to be like, you don't have to pay to live on Mars. I will pay to get you guys to live on Mars, because he needs janitors. Okay, he needs someone to go outside it and change out the sensors still. 'Cause he's not going outside.
No, he's got people for that. It's exactly.
But he's absolutely going to go up there and die. Like, I think that's what he wants to do, is to live out his life on Mars.
The final frontier. I mean, that's
Way
just
cool.
the start. But
Wouldn't that be, and that'll be something too, if like he leaves, he takes all of his rich friends with him, and Joe Rogan goes with him too, and then
of course,
they just, and then like what happens here? Like we just, then it's a matter of like they either like thrive up there, and then we all, break out in a mass civil war here and
I
eat
think
each other alive, or they run out of oxygen.
I
or,
think this is
some
a
crucial
basis
part
for
breaks.
more than one Ayn Rand novel.
Is it really?
Yes. Which one was it?
I
The
still don't know
Fountainhead?
what any of them are about.
No, it's the one where they, I guess the doers start disappearing. Everybody else is just content being a a wage slave doing nothing and not innovating. And the doers, the guys that make new steel and new trains, and are the executives, they're the heroes of the book. They go over to a hidden ranch in Colorado to protest humanity not respecting them or something. It's been a long time, Bryce, and it's a terrible read. It's like 1,600 pages.
I don't like every single one of her books. I've like just tried even reading the Wikipedia articles, and I don't get it. Like Atlas Shrugged, I don't understand what the end goal is, I guess.
Well, you see, Atlas, he shrugged.
So am I.
Well, it's I can't explain Andrea, and that's beyond the scope of this, but it's a lot of people's favorite book, second to the Bible.
Oh, why didn't it beat out the Bible?
Well, I think it does, and they just don't want to say that. Well, no, Mark Cuban will say that. The mattress guy has said that. I think Trump has said word for word it's his second favorite book that I'm pretty sure he never read.
Oh, yeah, well, he would say something like that. And it doesn't surprise me that Mike Lindell would like a book like this then.
Yeah.
That throws a huge red flag for me, though, if Mike Lindell is enjoying things.
Exactly. Besides selling, how good are those pillows? I couldn't say.
I don't know. I like a good terrible pillow myself. I like to go with like a full flat. You know, basically nothing there. That's what I go for my...
Huh, just sleeping on a mat. Well, different tastes.
Well be.
I do enjoy some pillow, but not as much as others. I know my wife has like 4 or 5 of them. It's too many.
Yeah.
Too much of an incline.
Exactly, yeah. No, I get to the hotels sometimes, and the pillows there, it's like I feel like I'm sitting upright still.
Well, we will call the Missoulian the Hellion, and with that, let's get this episode in the books.
Sounds good. Just recap business things here real quick. Our website is always MontanaVoicesPodcast.com. If you'd like to hit us up with any questions, concerns, comments, or if you'd like to be on the show even, you can email us at MontanaVoices@gmail.com. Our Twitter feed is going to be at Montana_voices. Our Facebook is at Montana Voices Podcast. And then you can find every episode on YouTube by searching for Montana Voices Podcast.